Hey guys, welcome to another episode of SEO On-Air. There is a lot of debate surrounding the marketing funnels, from who owns it, be it the marketing team or the sales team, to whether or not it's still relevant to today's consumer buying process. What if we told you that an effective SEO strategy could play a bigger role and could well be the backbone of the entire stage of the funnel? And to speak more about this topic, we have a special guest today, Mr. Garrett Mehrguth, who is the CEO of Directive, a next-gen performance marketing agency for software companies. Garrett, welcome to our show.
Thanks, man. Great to be here. Thanks for having me. Excited to chat.
Awesome. So, Garrett, the topic for today is strategizing SEO for different stages of the marketing funnel. So, especially keeping in mind an e-commerce industry into perspective, and we know that across the funnel there are a lot of things going on, a lot of plans the marketing team used to make. Now, the main question that's always in the people's mind is, let's start with the basics, wherein we know that keyword research is done to actually find the search terms that people use to fulfill a specific intent. Now, how important is this intent of an user and the keywords, and the one that focuses to land them on the different stage of the marketing funnel?
I think intent's really important. I think the problem is a lot of times we try to understand intent through our
Hmm.
tools instead of through the search engine results page. And so what I found
Right.
is as you become, more and more, I think, aligned with your customer, you have to
Hmm.
put yourself in your customer's shoes. So I think the biggest mistake SEOs can make is they live in their tools instead of living in the search engine. And so
Right.
you actually want to spend less time in your tools to understand intent and more time in the search engine, and it'll start to drive a more reality
Hmm.
driven strategy, would be my encouragement.
Hmm. Absolutely. So let's keep e-commerce as the base, and let's try to build this strategy that could be across the funnel. Garrett. So when we take the top of the funnel, let's take that the user passed through the three stages, and at the top of the funnel, what according to you is the best way to achieve synergy across the three stages of the funnel when it comes to SEO perspective?
Yeah, so I don't really like the middle. I think the middle's tough. I've never had an honest conversation with anyone when it comes to a funnel where
Uh-huh.
they were able to give me something that was truly middle and you couldn't say it was top or bottom. So I'd rather just do top or bottom so that
Mm-hmm.
we can take things from purchase intent or awareness and kind of top of funnel. The middle is just hard for me. The middle is this like weird phase that I don't think anyone can define accurately. But let's say the top, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when you look at an organic strategy and you want to talk about top of funnel, you have
Mm-hmm.
to always start with your reality so that your strategy can be executed. So what I mean by that is, what do your content resources look like? And the reason this is important is because the top of funnel is this early what is, how to, why
Mm-hmm.
stage in your
Right.
product lifecycle. And
Yep.
this content we can scale with a glossary. This is something I've been doing for a lot of our enterprise accounts.
Mm-hmm.
Driving millions and millions of impressions, like 10 million impressions in a month,
Right.
and hundreds of thousands of users through glossaries. So the idea
Mm-hmm.
with the glossary is you can create. So like this is beauty of tops. Like right now, I have a e-learning product, but it's like an e-commerce. Like there's checkout, you buy it, right? It's very similar in that sense. And we did 150 pieces this quarter because we kept it on what I call definition-based writing, research-based writing. And
Mm-hmm.
so you can create a lot of scale with the top of funnel. And so I think that should be the goal here. So you can look at it as top of funnel blog posts or top of funnel resource. Either of them can be outsourced without huge dips in quality compared to bottom of funnel content where I don't think you can outsource it. And
Right.
so this top of funnel is like a resource. So you build a glossary. You can go to directiveconsulting.com/resources/glossary.
Mm-hmm.
It's fully internally linked. We're ranking now in the top 15 for almost all the keywords in the glossary.
Right.
The cost per piece was very affordable, and we were able to do it all in a 3-month period. So it's just an example of how you can outsource top of funnel content because it's definition based and it's research based, and create a lot of volume. And then obviously then you want to pair that with retargeting and other types of strategies to monetize.
Right. Garrett, I have a question there. So usually when we talk about top of the funnel, people used to tell you have to write long form blog posts around it, and the how to's, it's going to be long. So by glossary, you mean can you give us a bit more details about what type of glossary content that is? Is it like the definitions in 2 or 3 lines for a particular keyword, like how they do it for in WebMD kind of sites where they take up a definition, they do 2 or 3 lines. Is that something that you're saying, or is this different?
Yeah, exactly. So let's say, let me think. Let's say you manufacture shoes
Hmm.
and there's technical names in your industry for what
Right.
goes into your insoles. So the type of rubber you use. You would maybe write a definition of what is X type of rubber. And then, so now you're taking your product differentiator as an e-commerce store,
Right.
right? And ideally, it's something people care about, right? So let's say you're a CBD product and it's like, what is THC8? And then
Hmm.
people have curiosity about it. Now, the beautiful part about this is it's natural link building. So
Right.
what people don't understand is when anytime a journalist writes on a topic or a true writer writes on a topic and references something that less than half their audience might not understand, they need
Hmm.
to hyperlink to it so someone can get more information. So if you
Right.
take a lesser known part of your product marketing mix, like within how you actually manufacture or differentiate or develop your product, and then you turn that into a glossary with all the definitions, anytime someone references that or searches for it, number one, they're going to discover your product. And number
Hmm.
two, they're going to link to your definition because it's not commonly understood. So this is a very easy tactic to build links at scale as well as drive top of funnel traffic.
Absolutely. That's a great hack. Actually, people think that glossary might involve in a lot of thin content issues, and because it's going to create a lot of URLs. Now, I think this glossary which you're saying, this will still have individual URLs for a particular topic or a particular definition, right? Still, all
You
those
don't need a
basic things are
ton.
there. Hmm.
Yeah, you don't need 1,200 words necessarily in your glossary because
Right.
here's the thing we have to understand as SEOs. We got to get away from this idea of universal rules. Okay?
Hmm.
To rank a blog post, I need 1,500 words. To do this, I need 5 links. To
Right.
do that, like it's not reality. Reality is
Mm-hmm.
you need to go look at the search engine results page for the
Mm-hmm.
content that's already ranking for the keyword you're targeting, and you need to build something genuinely better, something that
Right.
genuinely helps the searcher solve their problem better than everyone else. And if you do that, you will rank every time.
Mm.
There's no magic secret. So many of us write content that sucks. We do things that stink because we don't even evaluate why we did it and if it's truly worth doing. And if you take a different approach that worries less about the algorithm and more about the searcher and better
Mm-hmm.
satisfying their needs and their intent with the type of question they asked that you're trying to satisfy, that's the key to
Right.
SEO.
Right. Absolutely. With you on that. Definitely. So let's dig a bit more in terms of, so once we get this glossary right, so let's assume that that's going to be like hundreds or 200 terms that we're going to write about it. Now, what is the next step? So I think this covers the top, right, the main keywords which will have a lot of search volume. Now, what is the next step onto this? What is the next follow-up action you're suggesting
Yeah.
there for that?
So I always start with the business, right? So if I'm an e-commerce shop, I want to
Hmm.
know which products have my best margins, which products
Hmm.
I have the highest close rate from my checkout. So like
Right.
I want to understand where I should be allocating my capital. Capital also includes time as well as
Hmm.
resources of your headcount. So where do
Right.
I not only want to be spending my money, but my time based on
Hmm.
where I'm going to have the highest returns in the soonest amount of time possible, right? And I want to
Hmm.
balance that also with long-term investments.
Right.
So once I understand that, what I want to do is say, cool, I have 100 SKUs, and I have these 5 SKUs that are frankly better than the marketplace, whether that's due to price point, whether that's due to product quality, whether that's due
Hmm.
to reviews, whether that's due to whatever it is, innovation. I have 5 SKUs that I love, I believe in, and I know can be a differentiator for my business and make up
Hmm.
80% of my revenue, right? The 80-20 principle. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
let's say I have those 5 SKUs. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create clusters. See, HubSpot bastardized this
Yeah.
and made it seem like it was good because it was good for them. Okay, so what I mean by that is if you're HubSpot, you have a massive brand, you have self-onboarding, and you create hundreds of thousands of pieces of content with almost an unlimited budget across many verticals and many product lines, sales, marketing, etc., and support now, you can have this high volume approach. And then because you have self-onboarding and a world-class sales team, you can build clusters around cornerstone pieces of content, guides, downloads, etc.
Right.
Unfortunately, e-commerce and SaaS took that same approach and forgot how they make money. So here's my point. Instead of building bottom of funnel content clusters around cornerstone pieces of content, we need to build content clusters around our most profitable products. Okay, so here's what I mean by that. Institute at Directive, I sell a course that teaches people how to do what we do for SEO, PPC, and content. Like for context, we just ranked Allstate #1 for car insurance, auto insurance. We did the global SEO for Cisco. We work with Samsung, Tencent. We work with large enterprise brands and then mid-market companies. Okay.
Awesome.
And just doing SEO and PPC, really fun, high-level strategy consulting implementation. We have a course we sell for $99 that has 40 different lessons that we teach. So when we had to think about our content strategy for that, which is separate than our consulting business, but lives in the same root URL, we built a separate blog for it. And instead of just doing random keyword research, because here's what I've seen every SEO in the world does. They do keyword research from what they could rank for categorically, not product-wise. This is critical to understand. So they don't back into their keyword research from their product, from the way they make their money. They start with interest instead of money. In other words, they start with category. Like, I sell SEO, but not I sell link building, right? Like you all sell technical SEO services, so you don't need on-page content because you don't have a specific on-page service deliverable in your menu.
Right.
So what you do instead is you start from your 3 service deliverables like your business has, and then you back yourself into it. You have technical, you have guest posting, and I think you have content writing. So now I have 3 product clusters. Then from within that, I identify my highest volume, best opportunity, aligned with my target average order value based on what I think the level of the buyer is at. For example, SEO services is a worse searcher than SEO agency or SEO consulting or SEO firm. And SEO company is somewhere in the middle when it comes to average order value. So once you understand the nuance, right, of what you're trying to do, which is generate money, you back yourself into your strategy. So now let's say for my e-learning business, I got my 40 lessons, AKA my 40 SKUs. I then choose my best SKUs, and I then put that term into a tool called Answer the Public. It's a free tool. Any of your listeners can use. That's going to spit out a humble jumbo of just all the questions people ask related to, let's say, link building. Okay.
Right.
I export all of those tools, all of those terms from Answer the Public free of charge into a CSV. Then I upload that CSV into Ahrefs, and then I prioritize the buyer journey by keyword difficulty, volume, intent, and fit. Then I essentially build a content calendar, and I internally link all of those product clusters back to the product page I'm trying to rank, as well as add inline call to actions that are promoting the product within that. In other words, I know that if someone, because here's the problem, people in SEO separate traffic from money, unfortunately, in their strategy. So the whole point of SEO is to drive revenue. So you want to integrate the product you're selling to the content you're creating, and not at the categorical level, but at the SKU level. And so once you have a content marketing strategy driven at the SKU level, fully integrated, whether it's internal links and inline product, whether that's, add to cart, simple images through Shopify, whatever you're using, once you have completely integrated product SKUs to content strategy, that's when you win.
Absolutely. This is a breath of fresh air. Actually, what we're used to, or maybe made to believe in the industry by the experts, is that, hey, you know what, if you're e-commerce, you should focus on the category page because it's evergreen. Your product might go out of stock. You might lose out on all the things, but that's like cutting the crap. Like, you're exactly right. I mean, invest I mean, SEO is an investment, it takes time. But then what you're saying is instead of doing a category based level, you want to focus on the product level. And so, for example, link building. And then you're saying instead of focusing on SEO or what is SEO, we rather focus directly on these micro SKUs within the site and then interlink them.
Well, here's the thing. You can't compete as a small e-commerce shop. So think about it like this. If I'm competing, so like I used to run for fun, I had a boat supply business called Freshly Salted. And what I want to do is kind of take a brand first approach, have swag, apparel, lifestyle brand to compete with West Marine. Okay.
Right.
Largest boating online supplier.
Mm-hmm.
I had to essentially figure out how I was going to beat them. And what I've learned, because I service all the enterprise accounts, is they cannot worry about the product and the SKU. They can only worry about the category.
Right.
And so if I try to beat them playing the same damn game, I lose. So I always have to figure out where my advantage lies. So as an e-commerce shop, your advantage lies in what you can do that no one else can. Like if you're a local, like I do all the SEO for Allstate. I've done it for 4 years, every agent in the country as well as corporate.
Awesome.
I can't, as the SEO for Allstate, compete with Joe's Insurance in Orange County because he can write more local content than I can because I've got 3,000 counties to service, not one.
Right.
The same thing goes with e-commerce. If they've got 3 million SKUs and you only have 30, the trick isn't to try to beat them categorically because they have more SKUs. So they intrinsically have better product level marketing built into their categories because they have more categorical content than you do due to their SKU volume. So what I have to do is beat them where they can't compete, which is at the product level.
Right, exactly. So that's great information to hear, Garrett, because people get they feel the one of the main reasons they try to do paid marketing or SEM campaigns is because they think Amazon is there are Walmart is there, I can't compete with them. But yes, you can't compete with them in the category level, but you can definitely compete with them in a product level, right? Because your niche is in that, and if you're going to dominate it with the local content, with that relevant content, then you can easily outrank them. Because Amazon doesn't have that much time to focus on the micro level, right?
Well, and then you go one step further, right? Because that was just top of funnel resource, and then instead of how to, right, you can go top of funnel to pain point. So what I mean by that is like you sell shoes. So instead of trying to rank for Nike size 7 where you're going to lose, you try to rank for the pain that your product solves, right? Because if you're just selling the same shoe as Nike, you're not going to win. Nobody launches like that. But if they launch to say, hey, it's completely environmental friendly, sustainable, and then it has this new technology, you need to write for the pain point that made you develop your product in the first place. In other words, we solve shin splints. Well, then I need to build out the best resource online to solve shin splints. And now I have 3,000 pieces of content around shin splints, all 3,000 pointing back to my shoe, whose primary unique value prop is solving the pain associated with running and shin splints. And now I have a content strategy, but it has to start with product. Well, it has to start with service. It has to start with product. It has to start with what you sell and how you make your money. The second you deviate from that is when you lose.
Right. Absolutely. Great. So once this product, I mean, like you mentioned, we're going to create content around these products and we're doing it. So you mean even the content marketing strategy should be, right, obvious. It's an obvious thing that also should be around these products, right? Because people have the habit of creating multiple images and sharing it on Pinterest and all the other social media channels. So even everything you're saying, so the whole strategy itself, so forget about the funnel. What you're saying is more like a product-centered core marketing is what you're trying to say, right?
If you make your money selling products, we should have more information about remember the whole point of this, right? At the end of the day is education. We want, everybody's so worried about traffic, they forget why the hell they want it in the first place. And so what happens is they have a bunch of traffic and they don't drive organic revenue.
Absolutely. I think this is where the SEO agencies are making the mistakes, Garrett, because when an SEO agency is signing up a client, and let's say an e-commerce client, hey, the objective, the ROI will be looking at the traffic growth or the revenue growth. But in reality is the SEO always, they talk about the keyword growth or the traffic growth. But only the paid campaigns, the paid marketing team talks about the ROAS, because obviously you're investing on something and the conversion becomes important. So, but in this approach, we can actually tie up SEO directly with the sales, because the whole concept is focused on the products.
Well, correct. And we need to normalize SEO. The biggest mistake people make, like I'd like to charge hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, millions of dollars a year for SEO. And the only way I can do that, and I do this, is by normalizing SEO with PPC, right? So at Directive, we sell SEO, we sell PPC. Right. I need to normalize them. What I mean by normalize is I need to empower CMOs and decision makers with a capital allocation model that allows them to see SEO as an investment and a driver of value, not a cost. So the way you need to be able to do that is give them a way that shows through additional resource allocation into the primary inputs of your output, aka link building, content, on-page, technical, etc., that by investing in these channels, we're going to have a better LTV CAC ratio or ROAS than we do from PPC, or less, but I need to normalize it. So when you think about spend on PPC, you think about advertising plus headcount. You need to be able to think about headcount and vendors equally on SEO, and then treat it as an allocation of capital. And so when we take it that serious, we need to make sure that our strategy is aligned with our financial modeling. And that means everything we do for our SEO has to tie back to how we make our money. And as long as you stay focused like this, you can charge millions of dollars for your services.
Absolutely. Well, this is awesome piece of information, Garrett. Garrett, so can you share us more information about the the course which you were mentioning about, so that our audience would love to get that thing, because I think you have tons of fresh information. We are used to saying, you know what, you should focus on categories, build a lot of content, but the last 10 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever you've spoken, it's completely fresh, and it's something new. So what about your course? Can you share more details about that?
Yeah, it's called the Institute. It's directiveconsulting.com/institute. It's only $99 a month. You get over 40 hours of video and spreadsheets and tools. So we give you everything we use here. So our whole keyword research process, every spreadsheet template we use included, how we do content briefs, how we do conversion rate optimization, how we do smart broad campaigns, how we do financial modeling. All that's included. I think
all that for $100.
Yeah, all of it for just $100, and it's just a month. Okay. So like a lot of people, a lot of agencies use this as their training program. So instead of like, how it's very difficult, and then you get a certification, you get fully certified. It's the only course I've found online that talks about SEO and PPC, as well as CRO and analytics, all for $99. And it's all very, very in depth with world-class video. We brought in a whole production company to make it with us. It's really clean. It's really good. It's genuinely very good.
Awesome, Garrett. So people who are listening to this show, so we link out to Garrett's that course. By the way, we're not associated with Garrett's thing. We don't get any commissions out of this. That's out of. We just wanted to share it with this community, because I think you might have listened to the information that Garrett just shared. There's like loads of stuff. I think any agency, they will get a lot of value by going through that course. So Garrett, by the way, from Stan Ventures, we are also going to check that out because it looks pretty interesting, and it should help a lot of clients as well, especially the idea which you mentioned, don't look at SEO PPC separate. Let's look at it as a normalized one, and that could be really helpful for especially the new age entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I mean, my big thing here, man, that I think our industry just needs to change, this idea that we focus so much on things that impress each other instead of learning how to truly drive value for our clients. You know what I mean by that? Is like, so many SEOs love to talk about what they're learning in Python, but they haven't learned how to do financial modeling to get a real SEO campaign approved. Like if you want to go do the SEO and charge $50,000 a month for your services, just so people know, you can charge $50,000 a month for SEO and people will gladly pay it. That's a real thing, okay? Like you can genuinely do it. But what you have to be able to do is you have to be able to communicate how that affects their budgets, how that affects their sales development efforts, how that impacts pipeline, how that compares to other sources of capital allocation, whether that's internal resources, whether that's paid advertising, whether that's review sites. So to get a seat at the table, you don't need to know Python. You need to know sales, finance, and overarching marketing ops, demand generation, and marketing. So
Right.
my greatest encouragement to everyone listening, if they want to go to the next level in their career, they want to make six figures as a consultant, they want to
Mhm.
have 20, 30, 40, 50, $100,000 a month retainers,
Mhm.
you need to learn the game. You don't need to
Right.
learn SEO. Okay.
Right.
Everyone assumes you know SEO and they frankly don't care. What they care is how it affects their vision, how it makes
Right.
them look good in that next quarterly meeting, how it makes them look good when they have an annual performance review. Because people are so worried about making sure that they know how to spend your money. What they're not worried about is how to build confidence so you could spend more money. And so when you start to change your perspective of how can I do the best I can with your SEO with what you have today, to how
Mhm.
could I build you the best ecosystem for SEO that's fully integrated with product marketing, that's fully revenue driven and focused, and then build it into something that's special, that's where you need to come from. And that's how you need to build your solutions as a true partner with the organization, not as an outsourced vendor who just does X,
Right.
Y, or Z. And that's how you can grow in the industry as a consultant or as a firm.
Awesome. Well, Garrett, that's like a lot of great information. We really enjoyed this conversation, Garrett. We came into this conversation in a different perspective. We've been doing this a lot of time. We're still stuck with all the other things. Still, when people report, you hit the nail on the head when you say when the clients are reporting to their management team. If as an SEO, we are just reporting them traffic growth, keywords growth, but that doesn't solve the thing. So you're right. So it's not about fancy tools or all the other things, but plain the reporting in terms of the financials and what is the impact, what's the ROI there, the true ROI which they're getting. So it's great learning. So I highly recommend people to check out this course. Garrett, we really appreciate your time. We know you're a busy man, for taking your time out, coming to this show and sharing your knowledge with our community. I really appreciate that, Garrett.
Oh, hey, thanks for having me, man. Anytime. I love helping people, and I'm really passionate about the what I learned, man. I used to try to impress people on Twitter, and it doesn't make you any money, and it doesn't make you a very good consultant. I think the better
Yeah,
you get at finances and the better you get at understanding how you impact sales, the better you are at SEO. And hopefully your audience, takes that to heart. And it's the easiest way
absolutely.
for them, to make a lot of money in their life and with the passion they have. That's why we all do it is we love it and we want to provide for our families. So hopefully this helps.
Absolutely. Sure, Garrett. Definitely. Well, then thank you so much. Have a great day.
All right.
Guys, feel free to share your comments, your suggestions. We'll also link out to Garrett's LinkedIn profile. So if you guys have any questions or something, please feel free to connect with him. We'll also give some few links to his course as well as to some of the other links which Garrett has mentioned, especially the answer to the public and all the other things which he told about building a content strategy. So feel free to share your comments and we'll do our best to improve our show further. Thank you so much, guys, for listening to the show. Garrett, thank you so much once again.